Superman!
Yeah, I can relate. There was a time when it was all about comics for me, you know? I had a girl probably the same as yours. She always complained that I spent too much time with my own comics, and eventually we broke up.
See, what did she know? Here you are now, a legend in the field. Probably had a slew of women since her, am I right?
Oh, lots of women. Jagger and me, we had a running contest to see who had the most. Matter of fact, last time I looked, I was way ahead.
Damn, that's hot!
No escaping this. No escaping this. Worldwide. No escape.
No one's ready to deal with us.
What's going on, family? Welcome to Irvington Unbound, the official newsletter of the Sheridan St BA Association. I'm the official elected official, Jay, and as usual, I hope you and your crew are styling and profiling. Now, before we get into it, rest in peace, Stan Lee. Not really big on celebrities, but that man was the walking, talking definition of the American dream. And he created the X-Men as a parallel for race relations in the 60s, not homosexuality in the 2000s. I don't care what Bryan Singer says. Mr. Lee was an icon, endless respect and condolences. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into some news. In legalization news, November 26th is when our legislators decided to try again on a cannabis vote. Grain of salt, people. Locally, we're a little dry this episode because the director council meets were the day after the election. We were so busy in union, we were exhausted the next day, which is why this isn't a numbered episode. But hey, you know, our entire shtick is adapt and adjust, so moving on. In block news, Sergeant Zepeda is next level awesome. She has hung tough with us on the empty house issue, so seriously, there aren't enough thanks. Also, told you guys we wouldn't be getting speed humps by the end of the year. And the only reason it's being brought up is because Mayor Voss has deliberately BS'd us on this one, when it wasn't even a point of contention before. That makes it so much more perplexing. Newark is having an issue with lead in the water. Brief Irvington water recap went to that fine slice of Godiva chocolate known as Dr. Griffin months back, asking about water testing. She initially said the township would be doing tests. Then it turned into the water company themselves were doing the testing. And it's been dropped as a primary issue for two reasons. One, there isn't much demand. Two, Dr. Griffin is distractingly hot, and as a man raised in this gynocentric landscape, that makes pressing and asking hard questions a difficulty that I want no part of, because if I'm being honest with you guys, and more importantly, myself,
may I present to you your one weakness?
Hello, Batman.
What is this? The ladies.
Oh no! Hi there.
Get away from me. Yes, I know you cannot resist.
Batman.
I trust them too easily.
So, I hope you have filters on your faucets and at the pipelines, because if it turns out Irvington water contains uranium and gamma particles, I would not be surprised. Speaking of Newark, Amazon isn't building the HQ2 there, which is a blessing if I've ever heard one. Here's what they aren't telling you, kids. The bulk of the jobs Amazon would bring in would pay around $12 to $15 per hour, which, if we high-end it and you work the full 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, these positions will likely be about $30K before taxes. That's not a way out of poverty. It just exacerbates the low quality of life. It doesn't elevate at all. In state stuff, Governor Murphy signed a law banning 3D printed guns, aka ghost guns. The state legislature has launched investigations into the governor's hiring practices. State Senate President Steve Sweeney has vowed to fight the rising taxes. There was a ton of Democrats that won statewide seats in the midterms. Over here, though, our concern is strictly policy, yet they all ran on their identities, so God help us all. Senator Menendez was reelected, and the beat goes on. But it was really interesting seeing how hard Essex County went for the embattled senator. Family, you do know how questionable we find our voting process and the mechanisms that control the apparatus. Weird, huh? Really, Jersey? Another $500 million loan? You said yes to that? Property taxes are guaranteed to go way up if we can't pay it back. I mean, Jesus, what's wrong with us? Nationally, CNN is suing the Trump administration because Jim Acosta's press pass for the White House has been revoked, which is so damn ridiculous that it's obvious CNN wants to make news more than report it. We called it before the 2016 election, and it remains true to this moment. The establishment flunkies have lost their minds, and it'd be hilarious if their echo chambers weren't so frenetically sealed airtight. Remember, guys, emotions cloud judgments, and here we are, years later, and they're still playing Carl Thomas. Such a good song. Florida and Georgia are in recount mode. Oh, Florida, you nutty corrupt son of a bitch. To make long stories short, it's a bunch of tossed ballot salad. Shootings at a yoga studio and a bar are pushing gun control into the forefront again. Now that the blue team controls the House, they are chomping at the bit to impeach and obstruct President Trump at every turn, even to the detriment of American citizens, which is the entire problem with the position D-Squad has taken. The invasion from South America is still a thing, with President Trump signing an order that bars anyone entering the country illegally from seeking asylum. Internationally, the parameters for the United Kingdom's exit from the European Union has a draft text. Very interesting time across the pond, as Article 13, a measure that would slaughter their internet by making everything subject to copyright and adding fees and fines for usage, goes through their legal process. Quick example, this show would be screwed because of the vast amounts of content used that is protected by fair use. God bless America, but I like talking about international stuff because no matter what you think can't happen, there's someone out there trying to make it so. Lastly, the plan part 2, updates. With the flaky nature of the legalization vote, we'll see if it goes down on the 26th. We don't know for sure what will be in the final bill, but pretty positive that the licenses for urban communities will be included. Irvington, we take our licenses and invite manufacturing and production to the town with 3 questions. How many people do you need? Is it training capable? And how much are you looking to pay them? 1 or 2 outfits hiring a few hundred people at decent wages will go a long way in combating the 23% poverty and bringing legit value back to Irvington. Just a matter of getting the municipality on board at this point. Union greenlit, pun intended, retail cannabis on election day, so to pretend this is no longer a winning issue is pointless. And before you point out that there were places that rejected such measures, I'll point out that I'm one man and cannot be everywhere at once to point out how nonsensical prohibition has been. The plan is in motion and doing very well. Patience, family. We got this. So, with that being said, going to bring this episode to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Please do all the internet stuff. Like, sub, share, speak. What do you think Blue Team's gonna try to do with Pelosi? Is the cracks in the establishment's armor as evident to you as they are to us? Will I ever learn how to look at a calendar properly? And in memory of the great Stan Lee, until the next video, my beautiful family, Excelsior.
There is no stopping the Batman.
Halt for the mighty...
Hey,
Stan Lee!
I'm back. I don't care if it's a DC movie. I love cameos.